Hi everybody, sorry about the big mess. Sometimes I got to do some things for work at home, so that's kind of what I'm working on right now. So this video is not about this actually. It's about, we're going to answer which of the three videos, or three clips, was which when we did our test with the film capacitor, direct, and the electrolytic capacitors. Now, the thing that just absolutely amazed me with all of this was that I could not believe, actually this doesn't go here, I could not believe how many of you guessed a few things correctly, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and I'm going to actually bring up the actual video editing software, and I'm going to show you the clips, how they're laid out on there, because some of you actually thought that maybe I was trying to pull a trick on you and not, that I didn't change, that I just did one direct recording and I didn't actually record the two preamps and the direct input. But in fact, I actually did. And some of you, I take my hat off to you, have some amazing ears. Really, there wasn't, you go read all the comments. I'm not going to read them all to you and take a poll and all that, but when you read through the comments, you'll find that, number one, nobody was really very consistent about which one was the film capacitors and which one was the electrolytics. But surprisingly, quite a few of you were able to pick out which one was the direct recording. And actually, that's a good thing. I mean, I guess in some ways it's bad in another, but it does show that those preamps do very slightly color the sound a little bit. And really, that's what bass and treble controls are for, because invariably, when you have that much electronics in line, you're going to see that once in a while. So I'm going to go upstairs when I'm done with this, and I'll bring that up on the screen for you, and I'll show you which ones are which. Okay, excuse the shakiness because I'm going handheld with the camera here. Hopefully I have everything straight. And you can see I'm using Cyberlink up here. That's what I use to edit my videos. And you can see right down here are the individual tracks, how they're stitched together. And as you can see, number one is the direct recording. Number two is the film recording. And number three is the electrolytic. So this is just me going direct from the audio source into the recorder. This one is going through the CA2000 that has the film capacitors in it, and this one is the CA2000 with the electrolytic capacitors in it. And you can see when I pull back here how they're all stitched together all the way through. You can see all the comments up here, where I have it flipped between, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. All right, that's how it's done. Another thing I have to say about you folks is that some of you completely shocked and stunned me. How your hearing was so good and you had such an understanding of the detail of sound that you were able to, a large number of you, a significant enough amount that I don't think it was coincidence, guessed that number one sounded better. Now, you couldn't all agree on which one, whether it was the direct, or the preamp with the film caps or the preamp with the electrolytics, but you all agreed that number one sounded better. And that would make sense because it was direct. In other words, you weren't passing it through another piece of equipment, which could add possibly distortion, noise, any number of things, some, phase linearity problems, because of course at different frequencies the phase shift will be a little bit different. It's just the way these things work. it was really amazing how some of you could pick that out. I really can't a whole lot. If I really listen hard, I might convince myself, but there is no way that the number of you that did that, you know, weren't actually hearing something. So it goes to show that the little nuances do make a difference to some of you. Okay, and the sound might be a little bit different also because I'm using the microphone in the camera. But before I end, I'll give you a little. This is a project I'm finishing up for work for tomorrow, and it's an inverter assembly off of an X-ray machine. Anybody who's in the X-ray business probably would know what this was, but these are IGBTs, really big ones. And what does IGBT stand for? It's gonna blow today, and they do. So anyway, enough about that. Maybe we'll talk about these things one day, but I'll give you a little glimpse of the next video, which is actually going to be pretty epic, and it's one of these. It's an NEC Model A11. I'm in the middle of shooting the video right now. I'm about half to 3/4 of the way through the repairs and troubleshooting part, and what I will share with you is, in the beginning, I had absolutely no schematics, no block diagrams, no description of functions, no service manual, nothing. And couldn't really find one. I didn't look really hard for it, but started, and Dave contacted me and kind of asked me how things are going, and I told him that I had started the this project, and I was kind of complaining to him that this wasn't very easy without a schematic because of how different this was. I knew from a website called The Vintage Knob. Why would you call it that? We could go all kinds of directions with that. But anyway, I found out that this reserve means that the power supply has like a special design. Instead of just being one big transformer that powers the amp, there's two, and they're combined in a certain way to kind of reduce the ripple of the power supply. But I didn't know how it worked. I had to go by looking at the circuitry and kind of reverse engineering it. I troubleshot and found most of the problems, and then when I talked to Dave, he was like, "You do know that we have a service manual for that?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Okay." He says, "I know I sent it to you, but I'll send it again." So he resent it to me. I printed it out. And so the second, for the second half of the video, we're actually going to have a service manual. And yeah, so to say the least, and I uploaded it to Hi-Fi Engine, so anybody who belongs to that will be able to access it now. But anyway, yeah. So it's probably the first half of it is pretty comical, me fumbling my way through it and, brute force and ignorance, finding my way. And then the other, afterwards, which is where I'm at right now. I just got this service manual, by the way. We'll start to look and see how close I was to what I was guessing or what I was measuring or figuring out. So it should be a fun and interesting video. It's going to be a really long one. This one could be upwards of over an hour, maybe even towards 2 hours. So those of you who like the long form ones that I do, you're really going to love this one. So anyway, I got to get back to this because I got a hospital waiting for their machine. So until then, I will wish you all peace, joy, happiness, and good health in your lives. And we'll see you again real soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.